Today we are talking about wellness, so caring for your professional as well as your personal self. So we are going to go ahead and make a few announcements and go ahead and kick us off. We will then be doing a wellness presentation. Talking about stress and mindfulness and tools and resources to manage it. Later this afternoon, we will be having a youth choice workshop, which means you'll have a choice to attend a presentation about work ethic and time management, or one about self-presentation and how to present yourself professionally. And then we'll be breaking out into cohorts to do a reflection and a self-care plan.
Okay, so we are going to be talking about self-care, wellness, caring for your being. And so I want to run over some community guidelines with y'all, just some ways that we are going to hold each other accountable and show up in our space today. The first, be respectful with yourself and with others. Next, be open wherever you feel comfortable, right? You're not expected to share personal things, but if you feel compelled to do so, this is an open and safe space. And lastly, take care of yourself however you need, right? So whether that's taking breaks, going to the bathroom, getting some water, stay hydrated, all of that jazz. So are we going to be respectful to each other today? No? Are we going to be respectful to each other today?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, that's right. That's what I'm talking about. Sure. Okay. All right. So if we agree with these community guidelines, can I get a thumbs up? It's pretty easy to do. All right, rad. So, to start our conversation, I want to hear from y'all, my career coaches and career advisors, success coaches. When do you feel stressed out at work? And what strategies do you use to cope with that stress? Oh yeah. You want to go?
I have no notifications on my phone. So that way, when I leave work, I don't get emails. Helps me not think about what I have to do.
I love that. That's so nice. Yeah. Yeah, y'all don't exist after 5 o'clock. Sorry. We love you.
It's like once I close that laptop, it's wraps.
SummerWorks.
Yeah, I think sometimes when my inbox is super full, that can feel overwhelming. But I think a lot of the times what I do is I like to turn to music a lot when I feel stressed out, or I also love a little walkie walk, because I know that sometimes I'll put in our team chat, be back in 15 or 30 going on a walk. And that's always super helpful because it just gives me time to recenter and reset.
Where Morgan lives, there's like a roof in her building. And so she's always like zooming from the roof. So getting outside. Yes.
Always.
Y'all, I just bought a walking pad. I'm going to tell everyone about this walking pad because I need y'all to hold me accountable to get my steps in. So yesterday I was like, I had my little desk, I'm taking my little walk. And then my Apple Watch was like, are you still working out? Because I was moving so slow. So, but it's fine.
So today we're going to be talking about well-being and wellness, right? So the 4 main areas that we're really going to focus on today are wellness, stress and hustle culture, mindfulness, and some tools and resources for you to kind of navigate through this, okay? So let's talk. So at your tables, we'll do a little small group discussion, then we'll share out with the big group. What does well-being mean to you as an individual? What does well-being mean to you as an individual? So if you're by yourself at a table, I might invite you to join others. I might. All right. If you are still talking, go ahead and kind of wrap up your final thoughts. Ooh, and I'll bring us back together. You look like you're ready. That's great. That's great. Okay, so let's share out at your tables. What did you talk about? What does well-being mean to you? Yeah. Relaxation. Beautiful. How do you relax? I love it. Who else? Yeah.
In my opinion, well-being is happiness. I mean, if you're not happy, you're obviously not feeling well, right?
Yeah, no, I love that answer. Great. Thank you.
Simple.
Yeah. Maybe 2 more. I can call on you if you don't want to raise your hand. I'm not, yeah.
We agreed with another table over there that well-being and self-care and taking care of yourself. And Tatiana said not overworking yourself as well.
Beautiful, beautiful, right? Being mindful of not overworking yourself. Love it. One more. Come on, these have been great so far. Julia, what'd you talk about at your table?
So what we talked about is like if like physical and mental well-being are both really important. I said if you're physically not like mentally not well, then you're probably not physically well either, because they kind of go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Beautiful answer. Thanks everyone for participating. So exactly that, right? Broadly speaking, well-being is a state of being comfortable, happy, and or healthy, right? It's good if we got all three of those in the mix. So kind of like we talked about relaxation, physical and mental going hand in hand, not overworking ourselves, really getting into this element of chilling, I think someone said. So for sure. So to kind of keep going off of this, right? Well-being is a part of our ability to achieve balance in our careers and in our personal lives. We'll figure that out later, right? In terms of holistic, meaning that this is influenced by many different factors, right? So this can tie in our families, work, school, the different relationships that we have in our lives, money, right? The list goes on, and all of these are interconnected. Also tying that back to what Julia said about the physical and the mental, they're all interconnected and they impact us, okay? And in addition to this, well-being is authored and defined by you as an individual. So this means that you get to write your own definitions of what it means to be happy, to be successful, healthy, and how you achieve those is all up to you, okay? So it's you. All right, now I'm gonna pass it over to Mel and Jordan.
Okay, so holistic wellness is important, right? So there are all different aspects of wellness, as we can see on this fabulous pedal here. So y'all talked about like physical, emotional, and mental. We talked about like social, spiritual, environmental, right? Your space. Where am I going with this? Wellness is a lifelong journey and a process. It's not solved or reached at any specific point in time, right? So even your success coaches and career advisors, we are still on our wellness journeys, and some days it is easier than others. Okay, so, all right, it's time for a poll. So going back to our little, hold on a second, hang on a second. The kids and their phones. Looking at our pedal, right? We've got physical, spiritual, intellectual, social, emotional, mental, environmental, financial, and occupational. Okay, thinking about those, what dimensions of wellness are strengths for you? What are the things that you feel like you really need together in order to thrive? And maybe where are some places that you think that you feel like you could grow? So now you can scan the QR code with your phones. Now you can do that. See what we got. If y'all feel like you could use some space to grow in the physical aspect, raise your hand. Physical. Walking on your walking pad, like me. Okay, what about spiritual? And that doesn't have to be like related to religion. It could just be like anything that makes you feel connected with yourself, with the world around you, right? With your culture, perhaps. Intellectual, Mary. Always stuff to learn. Social. Emotional and mental. Literally 2 hands up for that one. Environmental, y'all, I need to clean my room. I really do. Financial and occupational. So the fabulous Jordan and I are going to talk about what these mean in a second, and then we are handing out worksheets so y'all can take some little notes on your own little pedal. Yeah.
So we're going to go through, like Mel said, these different pedals, and you have this worksheet. So feel free to take some notes because we're going to be doing some activities with this. So jot down things that'll help you remember it later. So the first one we're going to start with is physical. And so this is really pertaining to like taking care of your body. And that can be in a number of different ways. So that can be in the ways that you eat, sleep, exercise. You know, there's so many ways to practice self-care for that. Does anyone want to share an example of things that you do for physical wellness? I know we talked about walkies. I think all the SummerWorks staff are super into that. Yep, eating well. Thank you. Can we get one more person to share something they do for their physical well-being? Wow, 8 hours of sleep every day. Snaps all around for that. That's wonderful. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna pass it off to Mel for the next one.
All right, so next we've got emotional/mental, right? So knowing and being comfortable with who you are, managing your feelings so you can handle conflict. So to give an example, I had to think first. I totally lost my train of thought, y'all. All right, so to give an example, sometimes when I'm in a really, really bad mood and someone asks me like, what's wrong with you? I always just respond like, I'm tired, right? I'm tired. Because I don't want to have to like actually talk about what's bothering me. Does anybody else do that? Literally 10,000% all the time. I'm tired, right? So another way that you can practice like emotional or mental well-being is actually like sitting with your feelings, even when it's uncomfortable, or naming your feelings, right? Like, I'm actually like embarrassed, or I'm really stressed out, or maybe I just need a snack. So tapping into your emotions and your feelings is so, so important, and good for your health.
Awesome, thank you. So next we have environmental. So does anyone have a guess as to what environmental health might mean, a definition, meaning? I feel like this is a newer one for maybe, it was for me. Yeah, do you want to go ahead? You can tap the little discs in the center of your table. You can tap and they'll turn green and it becomes a microphone.
The stuff around you, like the people you surround yourself with and how you keep your space.
Yeah, absolutely. That is spot on. So when we think of environment, we're thinking of having good health by occupying a pleasant, stimulating environment that supports your well-being. And so that can look different for everyone. So I know that what is good for me is different than what is good for my partner in our household. So it can, you know, be picking up, it can be making your space comfortable so that you like have a good time relaxing there. We talked about surrounding our self with good people. So really making sure that you're creating an environment that supports your wellness.
All right, and then next is financial, but don't worry, my friends. Next week will be an entire session on financial wellness. Ooh, get excited. All right, so how many of y'all who have an internship, this is your first job ever that you've ever had? Okay. How many of you are bad with saving money? All right, so you'll definitely want to come to that session. It's going to be a banger and I will be there and it will be fabulous. We'll all be there. So financial wellness is being able to meet your current and future financial obligations, right? Being able to think about things that you want in the future, being able to save, being able to manage your money, and feeling comfortable with your finances, right? So what are some things that we can do to maintain, improve, or achieve financial wellness? How are we getting those bags? Yeah, Julia.
Get your own bank account and save your money in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you don't have a bank account, that's fine too, right? Like some people use, what are those, like, if you're on TikTok, maybe this is like old lady TikTok, but like the cash envelopes, do y'all see those?
Yeah.
The cash envelope stuffing. People like put money into envelopes, or like they save like $5 every month for like a whole year and end up with like a ton of money. Wild. I know. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know a lady who like won't spend $5 bills. She'll just put them all in an envelope and save them. Yeah. All right. What else? Financial wellness. What are some things we can do? The envelopes got y'all excited. All right, I'm passing it back to Jordan.
Every time I'm gonna knock it over. All right, so next we have occupational, so work, job. And this is the ability to achieve balance between work and life in a way that promotes health and personal satisfaction. So this might be kind of like Ben mentioned earlier, after he's off of work, he turns his notifications off, and so work is done. So then he can attend to his, personal well-being. For some people, it can look like, maybe taking breaks throughout the day or something if you work from home. There's, again, a million different ways to achieve this. But does anyone want to share a way that they maintain work-life balance? Or maybe work, school. I go one person. How does someone balance things? We talked about like turning off your email. Oh, yes. Yep, absolutely. That's a great example. Thank you for sharing. All right. Oh, Morgan wants to share.
Until I think I found my footing, as a scholar, I delete all of my social media until I kind of like feel like I'm in a groove with all of my classes. I've done that since undergrad and it's super helpful, so. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Another way, kind of going back to boundaries, in my house growing up, my parents had a rule that when they got home from work, they had about an hour to talk about the workday and then they were done. So that way it didn't consume their evenings and our evenings and everything else. So they had the space for it, but they set a boundary of, okay, so you can do something like that too. That again, it's very, very flexible to you and your needs.
Are we doing okay with time? Okay. I've got 2 more.
All right, so next would be social, right, which refers to the relationships we have and the ways that we interact with others. So social relationships support us during good times and bad, right? Surrounding yourself with good people who don't make you feel crappy, right? And forming genuine connections with those around you. So that's all I got. I'm gonna pass it on back to Jordan.
Absolutely. Pretty self-explanatory. All right. So intellectual, this means striving toward continual intellectual growth and creativity in life. So this could be like an example of what you are all doing right now, participating in SummerWorks. So you're spending time learning new employment skills, engaging in new opportunities every week. So, round of applause to you guys. You're killing it. Woot woot. Does anyone have any other examples of things they enjoy doing for intellectual growth? I like playing like little puzzles daily for myself, like little brain teaser puzzles. It's not anything big, but it keeps me going. Yeah, that's awesome. Classes are a great way. Yeah.
This is a bit more obscure and weird, but like I feel like a lot of why I'm really smart is because of video games, and it just magically works out for me.
Yeah, no, if you find something that helps your mind, grow creatively and intellectually and keeps you stimulated, that's awesome. Kathleen.
I like documentaries because I would say I spend a lot of my time watching movies and TV. That's like something I really enjoy doing. But every now and then I throw a documentary in there to help me feel like I'm working on my intellectual well-being.
Absolutely. Lots of ways to do it, folks.
All right, so last we have spiritual, and like I kind of said before, right? This doesn't have to be affiliated with any kind of religion, but it can be. But really anything that's like spiritual wellness is anything that helps you connect to yourself, to the world around you, helps you feel at peace. So that could be things like meditating, yoga, right? Anything that helps you like connect with yourself and your body in a way that's like just you sharing space, right? Going out and touching grass. I know it's like a joke, but like I'm serious. Like go out and touch some grass, go sit in the grass, like change your whole life.
Stand in the sun.
Stand in the sun. Oh my God. Even for like 2 minutes, just go out there and like get that vitamin D up on the roof. It's really good for you.
We're going to do right now is we are going to take about 3 minutes. And I want you to, so there should be a little box on the top of each petal. And I want you to think about on a scale of 1 to 10 at this current moment, how would you rate yourself in these categories? So 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. But in terms of like your well-being, where are you at? And this is personal, like you don't have to share with anyone. So feel free, like you're not turning this in or anything. This is for you to keep. So we're going to take a few minutes, but just self-reflect on how you are doing in each one of these dimensions of well-being. And then we're going to come back together and I have a few questions, but I'll give everyone a couple minutes to fill out their sheet. We're going to do, all right. So we are going to move on to step 2 of this reflection. So in the box below, so the slightly larger box on the front of the sheet, you can go ahead and think about what does this dimension mean to me? Maybe think about what you could do to take care of yourself in this dimension, or maybe something you would like to improve on, or if you feel like it's going really well, maybe identify some of the things that help you do well. So like things we were already talking about, like for me, intellectual, I would be like, I watch documentaries and that's going well for me. But so or this one will probably take a little bit more time. So let's go with about 8 minutes, jot down some notes for each one of these dimensions in the slightly larger box. Yeah, Brett.
So we said like if you're feeling sick or like you're having a bad day or something like that, don't like force yourself to go into work because that probably wouldn't turn out well.
Yeah, so making sure that you take some time and rest if you need it. Absolutely. How about a table from this direction? It can be anything you talked about. Saran.
While reflecting, something I realized is that like, I guess like you're always improving upon things, right? Like I don't see any of these as being a 10. So yeah, like there's always room for improvement, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So always room for improvement. And I feel like sometimes what happens to me is I focus on one area and then I let the other areas slip sometimes. So, I'm really focused on one thing and then the other, starts to dwindle. So trying to spread your focus out. Yeah. Anyone else want to share? I might just start calling on people. How about Mariah? What did your table talk about? Okay, so Mariah said she was talking about financial wellness and she wants to start budgeting and tracking transactions. Awesome. How about someone from table 7?
Volunteer yourself.
I think they're volunteering Joel to share. So Joel, I'm calling on you. Just what's something you talked about at your table?
We talked about most of their physical health
Okay.
and how we should like get more sleep and get more exercise. Pretty much all of that.
All right. Sounds good. So physical health, sleeping more, exercising. All right. Autumn, I'm gonna call on you. I didn't quite hear what you said. Saving money, getting better at that. Okay. So David?
We talked about how a lot of these things kind of tie into each other. Like if you work on your physical health by exercising, it also helps your mental health. A lot of things like help your mental health, like if you have a good social environment, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So how they're interconnected and they play off of each other. Absolutely. All right. Anyone else want to share? Okay, well, I hope this activity helped you kind of do a self-assessment on, what's going well in terms of your wellness and maybe some tips and tricks and what to work on moving forward. For the next few slides, we're just going to be talking a little bit about stress. And so I am going to kick us off. So what do you think are some of the negative impacts of stress? Why is stress bad? Maria, yeah. Shortens the amount of time what? You sleep? Okay, so it might impact your sleep negatively. Margaret? All right, so you can raise your blood pressure, cause some other problems. Yeah. Jeremiah? Your mental health, so bad for your mental health. Okay. Aiden? Okay, so stress can make you sometimes avoid things you have to do, kind of procrastinate, that sort of situation. Oh, table 6. Sorry, I didn't see your hand. A lack of focus. Absolutely. All right. Has anyone ever felt like stress actually improves their performance? David? Yeah. So sometimes you can like just kind of power through and be like, go, 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 go. Jonathan? In life or death situations, absolutely. So that adrenaline kicks in, very stressful things can definitely do that. Brett?
So when I was in school, I had to write 2 12-page research papers. and I was like, I was quite a bit stressed out, but it helped me. I was like, it made me feel like I need to do this in like this amount of time to like have enough time to like work on the other assignment.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely happens to me as well. So for me, like all throughout school, I could not write a paper early. Like it was getting done the day it was due. I needed the time crunch to pressure me into being stressed so that I could power through it. I don't recommend, but definitely that has happened to me. Also, when I'm super stressed out about things, like at home especially, I sometimes like go through these like cleaning sprees where I'm trying to avoid literally doing anything else than the thing I'm supposed to be doing. And so sometimes that can be helpful to me. But in terms of stress, so stress can improve your alertness, kind of how Jonathan mentioned with like life or death situations. It can also improve memory retention and improve your performance. But at the same time, long-term stress can cause severe health issues, as Margaret mentioned. But, you know, stress is part of life. And so kind of thinking about, you know, how might stress come up in your school life, in your work life, and how do you address it? We hear from anyone? How does stress impact you either at school or at work? And how do you handle it? Morgan?
The question I was asking is, have I ever handled stress actually once I think about it? Because I feel like I just work through things until I finish them because I know that it has to get done. But yeah, I would say that music plays a big part in kind of like helping me kind of like not think about everything that I have on my plate to get through it one at a time. So big music fan.
All right, so we have music. When I get overwhelmed and stressed, I feel like I have the opposite reaction, but I need a nap. Like a nap resets me. And I'm like, if I'm really stressed out, I'm like, okay, it's time for a nap. And then I'll wake up and I'll feel better, clear head, get things done. There's some other things that people do for stress management. Margaret? All right, so do something else, taking a break for a little bit, yeah? Ben, what do you do for stress management? A relaxing hobby. Nice. All right, Dallas, you want to come on up here? All right. So, oh, I realized there was another slide, but I'll do it real quick. But the amount of stress can also, you know, it changes and fluctuates, and kind of how we were saying, you know, sometimes you're stressed in one area, not another. So maybe you're stressed socially, but you're doing pretty well occupationally or something. But kind of it ebbs and flows, and but we want to give you some strategies to help deal with stress. And I'm gonna have Dallas talk about hustle culture.
So for this slide, y'all, I do want you guys to talk back to me because this particular slide probably explains my life. It's more than likely something you all don't know about me, but can somebody tell me what hustle culture is? Does anybody know? Is this a new concept to some of you all? Feel free to make noise, you know, let me know something. John.
So you said hustle culture?
Yeah, you know what it is?
Oh, yeah, pretty much, the mindset of I gotta acquire money, right? I'm gonna get it any means necessary.
By any means necessary. we're not gonna talk too deep about that right there, but yeah, you're right. So, you know, like all of these little apps and these little initiatives, Uber and DoorDash and getting the money by any means necessary in a positive sense. That's what it is. It's, I'm gonna read it to you because that's gonna work best. So hustle culture impacts our well-being by driving burnout, contributing to imposter syndrome, and increasing feelings of guilt and anxiety around not being productive. When I tell y'all, when I leave work, I probably am more busy at home than I am when I'm here. My boss said something pretty funny yesterday. He said he comes to work to rest because, you know, that's what he does. He has a lot going on at home. And I feel that. Do any of you know what the imposter syndrome is? I Googled it. I had to look it up. We've got one, but you don't count because you're cheating. Go for it. Yes, and in so many words, you're absolutely correct. Anybody else before I read this definition? Y'all are quiet. I'm gonna start calling folks later. So imposter syndrome is the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally, despite high performing in external objective ways. Much like he said, sometimes you feel like you're not good enough or you're not doing enough, despite what you all may see on the inside. I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball, so to speak, or I'm lacking. I need to pick it up. I just need to make it look like I'm doing something so I can feel better, so I can do and be whatever it is. Meanwhile, you know, to the world, I'm busier than the president or something crazy like that. I don't know. R&B good.
Hi, thanks. I just want to acknowledge that hustle culture, it can also apply to your academic career or to your family dynamic. I know a lot of you here are pulled in many different directions, trying to be the best you can at school or with your extracurricular activities like sports or mathletics. I don't know if any of you do that, but so yeah, just make sure that you're balancing your time well in terms of those things too, because they contribute to your burnout. And those are things that you want to accomplish and do well at also. So while stress can be a good motivator sometimes, we have to acknowledge that it definitely is never good for your physical health. And we know what kind of effects it can have on your mental health too.
Absolutely. More than just employment, the different things you all take on in your own individual lives, pulling you in those different directions, most certainly contributes to these feelings. One person, and then I'll stop talking, I promise. Somebody tell me about a time that they've experienced this feeling. Let me know about it. It's like 50 people. One person is all I'm asking. There we go. Yeah, that's real. She used the work example, but it's real. Starting a new job, not knowing, but having that feeling that I need to be doing something, that I'm supposed to be able to carry this whole responsibility on my own immediately, not really giving yourself any grace, not really giving yourself the time to adjust and, you know, permission to learn or permission to not know. It's all a process. It's all about growth, right? But all right, I'm good, y'all. I'm gonna stop talking. It's Mel's turn.
How many of y'all have heard the phrase, you can't fill from an empty cup? You can't fill from an empty cup. Who wants to tell me what they think that means? We're talking about wellness. We're talking about well-being. We're talking about hustle culture. Okay, if y'all are not taking care of yourselves, how can you take care of anyone else? How can you give any of yourself to any other parts of your life, right? Whether it's your academics, your career, your families, right? You got to put yourselves first, besties, because let's talk about mental health. We're going to watch a little video about mental health stigma, and then we're going to talk about it as a group. How are we feeling? What do we think about the video? What are our thoughts? It was nice. Yeah, short and sweet, to the point. Anybody else want to share? How we feeling? Let me just put this back up. Oh, now don't all speak at once, my friends. Did we learn anything from this video? Table 7. Y'all like talking so much.
Don't be scared.
No.
Uh-huh.
So we just like think that was useful and it might be used like in future.
Yeah, how so?
Alright. Maybe like can like take less stress and maybe like you get more forward with that.
Yeah. Right. So when we talk about like mental health and mental illness, right, we're talking about invisible disabilities, right? So you don't know by looking at someone whether or not they're struggling with depression or anxiety or PTSD or any other things, right? So it's important for us to show up in the ways that we can, right? It's also important to talk about it, right? If your feelings are valid, my friends. So if you are feeling stressed or overwhelmed or sad or anxious, right? Talk to a friend about it. Don't keep it all to yourself. Talk to your success coaches. Talk to us. Yes. Yes.
So, y'all have social media? We have, yeah, what do you have? What do you have? All of it. Okay. Perfect. So I know that you have social media because that's just the day that we live in, right? So, how does technology and social media impact mental health? Does it have an impact on your mental health? Have you noticed that? Do you think about that question? Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question to consider, right? So, how does technology and social media impact mental health? So, we know that social media is good for communicating with loved ones, connecting with new people over shared interests, and learning about new topics and raising awareness around different social justice topics, right? However, social media can also increase feelings of inadequacy, the fear of missing out, or FOMO. Does anybody have FOMO? Yeah, I heard a little bit of yeah. It's okay, me too. Feelings of isolation, depression, and anxiety, right? So it's also important to be mindful of how different social medias and technologies are making us feel and how we can take care of ourselves while we have those social medias. So my friends at table 13. Yeah, that's right here. How does social media make you feel? How are you mindful when you use social media and technology?
Okay. So I recently went on a social media cleanse. And so I unfollowed like the Kardashians. I unfollowed a bunch of people who like didn't have bodies that look like mine, who didn't share identities that I have, like, and started following more people who like practice like body neutrality and are like, I don't know, who have values that align with mine. I also have, what is it, like the screen time timer? So like if I'm on Instagram for too long or TikTok for too long, it'll like lock it for me. So it's like after 11:30, I can't use it. And then like every like half an hour, if I'm on it for more than half an hour, it'll like lock me out of it.
Nice. Thanks, Mel. Yeah, and so kind of like I said, I delete social media at the beginning of every academic semester just until I feel like I found my footing and have really established a routine. 'Cause I just care a lot about my grades, and that really helps me to kind of like not only be intentional with the way I do use my phone, so calling back home more, right? And just being more intentional about everything except social media, and it really helps. Yeah. Thanks. So How do you all use social media? How does it make you feel? I know y'all use it. What are those snap scores? Are they pretty high? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I learn a lot on social media though, like on TikTok and stuff. I feel like I learn a lot that I wouldn't learn probably at school or anything. But at the same time, that's probably why I don't sleep and get 8 hours. So it's like good and bad at the same time.
Right. Some give and take. Thanks. Anyone else? Okay. I'm gonna pass it over to Ben.
All right, we're gonna talk a little bit about stress management in the workplace. So first, I'm just gonna ask, what's the connection here? Why are we talking about wellness when we're really doing internships and things like that this summer? Where's the connection there? I'll call on a table. I'll do it. Let's go with table in the back. There's like a bunch of people. Someone can answer. What's the connection between wellness and what we're doing here for our internships?
So it kind of ties in with the like the occupational pedal of the thing that we went over at the beginning. So it's kind of like all about work-life balance, kind of like leaving all of your work stuff at work and kind of like just focusing on yourself and kind of just like relaxing and I don't know, just working on your mental health and your mental well-being at home.
Gotcha. Yeah, so working on your mental health and other aspects of health, what does that do for you at work? It makes you a better worker, right? The more you take care of yourself outside of the work, the more productive and better worker you're going to be while you're there. So that's a big tie-in that we're going to take away from today. So there's going to be some practices that we have as well that we're going to talk to you about. One of them is mindfulness. Can anyone give me a definition what they think of when they think of mindfulness? Yeah, it's kind of like putting pause on the moment, right? Checking in with yourself, acknowledging yourself, how you're feeling, kind of the context of what's going on, right? So you might feel overwhelmed or stressed at your work environment, but taking that pause and checking in with yourself and not just acknowledging it, but being okay with it too, can really help deal with some of that stress. So say you have a lot of projects going on at work, it's okay to take 5 minutes and just check in with yourself. Yeah, I'm feeling anxious about this. These are the reasons why. And it's also okay, right? This is something that we all go through. You can accept those feelings yourself. So anything else that comes to mind when we think of mindfulness? Anyone else want to share out? All right, well, we will get to talk a little bit about more of this during reflection. Yeah, so there's a few things here that I'll mention while you're working remotely that can kind of help make that separation, because it can be hard when you wake up, you're going to go to work, but your work is the next room over and it feels like you can't get away from it. So taking regular breaks, right? Make sure that you've set up some of those breaks. So maybe your office for your homework is in a completely separate part away from your bedroom. I know some people, they'll have their office in their bedroom. They'll actually like separate it off with like a sheet or something, just something to actually make a physical boundary between you and where you're working. That can help kind of separate and break things up. Building routines. So knowing, it can be hard sometimes to get that focus while you're working from home or remotely. So building those routines into your day, this is what I have to do. This is how I've set my day up, and getting into that day in, day out. That can help out too. Are there any other ideas or things that you folks have already found yourself doing to take some of those breaks and set those boundaries while working remotely? Yeah.
housing on campus and my bedroom does not have windows because of how the building was designed. So naturally, like that can make anybody sad, right? So I like to separate where I work from where I live because I've always been like that. I was even like that in undergrad. So when we do remote days for SummerWorks, I'll try to go like somewhere either on campus or in downtown Ann Arbor so that I can get work done and also check out the city, but just to separate where I work from where I live, because where I live, like that's like my fun time. And then when I work, like obviously I'm productive and I'm out. So yeah, maybe setting that boundary of even leaving might be good too.
Gotcha. How about feeling like you always you're connected to your computer or work device all the time? Does anybody have strategies for that at home? Because a lot of us, we are either given devices from our work or we use our own to do our work. So how do you make that boundary? Mel or Jordan, do you guys have anything that you do?
So when I get done with work, if I am not using like a device for the rest of the evening, like a laptop or something, I will just log out of it so that I don't see those notifications, but I don't have to log out of everything. The other thing that I'll do is put things on like a do not disturb. Like a lot of times you can do like special do not disturbs on your phones nowadays. So I'll do it just to shut off the specific apps that I know are connected to work. So I don't have to see those pop up on my phone or anything, but I can turn it back on easily the next day.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing those tips and tricks. So next, we're actually going to have a mindfulness exercise that Mel is going to lead us through. So I hope you're ready for that.
All right. If you can hear me, put your hands in the air. Hands in the air. Reach all the way up to the sky. Stretch as far as you can. Rock back and forth from left to right on your feet. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, right? We are connecting to the earth, to the sky. You feel it? Wiggling a little bit. Come on, wiggle a little bit. Like a sunflower. Isn't this nice? All right, reach your left arm up to the sky, stretch it out. Left wrist, grab it with your right hand. Okay, breathe in. I want to hear it. Good, breathe out and lean to the right. So you can feel a stretch all on your side. Yeah. Okay, back to the center. Let your fingers go again. We're wiggling. We are wiggling. No one's looking at you, I promise. All right, reach your right arm up to the sky, grab it with your left hand. Left, yeah, you got it. Okay, breathe in. Okay, now when you breathe out, stretch, lean to the left, feel it all on your side. I know that feels good. I know it does. You shouldn't be hurting yourself over there. All right, bring it back. Okay, and now like a circle, bring your arms all the way down to your sides. Stretch your chest out a little bit. Yeah. All right. Okay, now that I've got you standing, don't sit down yet. Don't sit down yet. We're gonna do box breathing. This is a mindfulness exercise. Have any of y'all heard of this before? Box breathing? 4, 4, 4, and 4. I'm gonna tell you what to do, and then we're gonna do it because I can't tell you while I'm breathing. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna breathe in for 4. Don't do it yet. I'm walking you through the instructions. You should still be breathing on your own, but like you're gonna breathe in and you're gonna fill your lungs with air for 4 seconds. Then you are gonna hold for 4 seconds. Then you're going to breathe out, like empty your lungs out for 4 seconds, and then you're gonna hold it for 4 seconds. All right? So I'm gonna walk you through it. Sound good? Everybody on the same page? I wanna hear it. Okay, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Empty your lungs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You did it. So this is a fabulous mindfulness exercise. It's literally one of my favorites because you can do it anywhere. I like to do this while I'm driving when people stress me out on the road. It's a good way to lower your heart rate. I also do this before I go to bed because it helps me go to sleep because you're lowering your heart rate like to a resting phase. If you are someone who is very anxious like me, that's that easy. Mindfulness. All right, besties. So we will be sharing a ton of mindfulness resources with y'all. They'll be in Google Classroom. If y'all have any questions about mindfulness, if y'all want to do some yoga with me during office hours, honestly, we actually could. You know where to find us. Your success coaches and career advisors are here for you. All right.
All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about self-presentation and dress attire. Okay. So smart casual for a little minute, right? Let's talk about smart casual. So this is relaxed and polished attire. Okay. This can be open to some personal interpretation, but you should probably consider your context and your setting when you think about smart casual. Okay. So some people consider wearing the elevated basics. So what might the elevated basics or smart casual include, right? So we got blazers, cardigans, tailored pants, khakis, chinos, pencil skirts, and dresses, okay? So you can mix and match elements from formal and casual dress codes and add certain accessories that show your personality. What's your favorite accessory? Earrings, watches, beautiful. I'm a ring girl. And for someone who's a ring girl, I should probably wear more rings, but I wear 2 on 1 finger. It's fine, right? Okay. So, do we have an example? Oh, well, I forgot to wear an example of smart casual. I'm sorry I let you down today. This is my business casual. I'm so sorry. But a nice little example could have been a tailored cotton casual dress with a formal blazer. Okay, so that could have been considered smart casual. Any questions about smart casual? Beautiful. Next, let's talk about business casual. Could my friend who's wearing business casual please stand up? Oh, do the noise, do the noise. The one that you were hitting right over there. I think it was oomps, oomps, oomps. Maybe that was me, I don't know. Love it. Okay. My friend Mel here is modeling business casual, okay? So let's talk about business casual for a second. So fabrics for tops could generally include cashmere, knits. Yeah, I don't know. I can get that fake cash. Heavier weighted sweaters, right? Sleeves are usually long or short, but you should not be showing your shoulders. So your shoulders should not be bare, nor should you have spaghetti straps, okay? So in terms of colors, we're looking at earth tones, jewel tones, purples, corals, pastels, etc. Okay? A blazer or a jacket might be optional for business casual. Just kind of pay attention to the noting or what's advised. Fabrics for pants, skirts, and dresses include cotton blends, heavyweight wools, linen, high sheen silk. I don't got that. Cotton, I got Old Navy pants. That part, the pixie chinos, yes. And so again, right, colors. This includes, did I already say that? No. Earth tones, charcoal gray, navy blue, medium blue, and black. So brighter colors are acceptable, but be conscious of the setting, okay? Generally, your color palette can vary more with business casual than it would with business professional. Your shoes should be a low heel, so 3 inches or lower, and they should probably be closed toed. Mel got the loafers on.
The business casual.
These are my loafers. I bought them from Nordstrom this past weekend. And
dogs away. I'm away.
I have some blisters today, but it's okay. Mel and Jordan are taking care of me. Man, it's hot. Okay, so now let's talk about business professional, okay? So business professional. So for business professional, your fabrics for tops. Oh, could my friend who's modeling business professional please give us a little show?
Yeah. I'm missing my top because I packed away already for the winter, so apologies, but just envision a jacket on me.
Nice little blazer going on. Look at this. Oomps, 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 oomps. Okay, so the fabrics for tops generally will include silk, silk blends, cotton, and a cotton and polyester mix, okay? Sleeves are always long for business professional. So fabrics for pants, Skirts and dresses are wool, light wool blend for skirt and pantsuits, or nice polyester blends. A blazer or jacket will be required for business professional unless otherwise noted. So again, just make sure you're always paying attention, right? And so for the colors, we got black, dark gray, blues, whites, neutrals. So you don't want nothing that's like super bright, and patterns typically aren't recommended for business professional. The shoes should be black or brown patent leather, low heel, again, 3 inches or fewer or lower, and it should always be closed toed. Again, here's our little chart. Any questions about any of that? We feel good about smart cash, business professional. What do you wear to PD? Y'all got it.
All right, so let's talk about attire best practices. The first is to do your research, right? Y'all are already pretty well aware of business casual. Y'all are wearing it. I will also add that this stuff does not have to be expensive, right? Basics can look quite expensive if you wear them properly. You can get, it's like the pixie pants at Old Navy for like $19.99. I have bought dress pants from Walmart. A nice linen shirt you can buy at the thrift store. This came from the thrift store, right? So it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to look expensive. It's just the way that you like pair things together. Also, you can find button-ups for days at the thrift store. So if a button-up is the kind of thing you like to wear, get into it. It does not have to cost a lot of money. If you have any like questions about any of this stuff, you can talk with us. And when in doubt, overdress, right? What is it? Was it Coco Chanel? Somebody said like, you should always dress like you're going to meet the most important person in your life because you never know like who you're going to run into, right? You always want to make a good first impression. You always want to dress to impress. You never know who you're going to see, right? There have been days where like I've been at work and like the president of a company has like come in, right? Like unannounced. So you always want to make sure that you're showing up as your best self. When you look good, you feel good, right? And it also like these clothes don't have to be uncomfortable. All of my dress pants have elastic. I kid you not. I love a stretch, right? As they should. The fact that they don't, that's the problem, right? So it doesn't have to feel uncomfortable. It doesn't have to feel forced. You just want to make sure that you're making a good impression and putting your best self forward, right? Yeah. Make sure your clothes aren't wrinkly. The shirt is a bad example, but this was for the look, the lived-in look, right? If you have a little steamer, $15 at Target, save your life. If you don't have a steamer, that's fine. Yes, hang it up in the shower. Hang up your shirts in the shower, like before you take a shower, and the steam will get the wrinkles out. Yep, I've seen people use a flat iron. That's a little risky, but it might smell like burnt hair. So true. But yeah, don't use, that's so true, so true. Also, if you wash your own clothes, hang them to dry. It will extend the life of your clothes by 10,000 years.
So now let's talk about how dress codes impact all of us differently, okay? So professional dress codes disproportionately affect certain groups of people and identities, mainly Black individuals and women. It's important to recognize that these realities, because they aren't fair in their forms of workplace discrimination, racism, and sexism. While these forms of discrimination are unacceptable, they're often real, lived experiences for people of color and women.
How many of y'all have a dress code at your school? Dress code. What are some of the rules? What is it? Y'all still doing like is it like the 3 fingers for the tank top, no spaghetti straps? You got to do the like finger length for the skirts and whatnot. So dress codes are often used as a tool to police people's bodies, right? They place blame on women's bodies for creating distractions, right? Having your shoulders out would just tantalize people and they just could not control themselves. And they often provide more rules and guidance for women's attire, right? So things like skirt length, straps, heel height, all of that kind of stuff.
So now we're kind of going to pivot and talk about some hairstyles. So natural hair and Black hairstyles such as locks, braids, twists, etc., right? Headscarves and other religious, culturally specific forms of self-presentation are often deemed unprofessional. So in contrast, straight hairstyles And other forms of self-expression associated with whiteness are seen as professional and work appropriate. So this might cause us to kind of dig into what or who is kind of like crafting this idea of professionalism and in what workplace, right? So just something to think about moving forward, right? With future jobs, wherever you might be, just something to think about.
In most states, hair discrimination is perfectly legal. I think in the military, only within the last like 5 or 10 years, it is now allowed that you can have locks or braids or natural hair while serving in the military. Yes, the Crown Act outlaws hair discrimination in schools and workplaces. I've seen like videos on Facebook of like kids getting their hair cut like without their consent by their teachers and like coming home with like their hair cut. It's absolutely ridiculous. We say all of this because like these are things that y'all might be up against, right? Professionalism, while it is important to like fit within the culture of your job and meet those expectations, like Morgan said, we have to think about where this stuff comes from. And oftentimes it is motivated, yeah, by like racism and sexism. So yeah, just something to think about.
All right. So ultimately, it's important to make sure that your attire matches the setting that you're in, but you're still able to express your own self and style while dressing for success. Okay. So with that being said, this is another good reason as to why it's necessary to interview your interviewers during the interview process. Okay. So while it should not be your responsibility to protect yourself from discrimination, you may be able to detect signals and signs as to what the work culture is during your interview process and to kind of navigate through that, right? So again, just like looking for that professionalism and kind of seeing who deems what in the workplace professional.
Yeah, so professional dress is a form of self-expression, right? Dressing in general, it overlaps with our identities. So I want y'all to think about how you can represent yourself, both like truthfully and professionally. Like I have a professor who wears like blazers and dress pants, but he teaches like television classes. So he always has like a graphic tee, like related to like a TV show that he wears like with his blazer. So still technically in line with professional dress, right? What else? What are some other ways that you can incorporate like your personal style and self-expression into a business casual setting? Accessories. Absolutely, right? Earrings, jewelry, necklaces, the shoes you wear, socks. Oh, I love a fancy sock with a suit pant. Yes. Read many a romance novel about a man in a suit with a nice sock.
Little bag on the side.
Ooh, yes, with a little briefcase moment. Yes.
I bought a bag specifically for SummerWorks. I'll bring it when I see y'all in person.
Got a new bag too.
Oh,
yes.
should we bring them next
Yeah.
time? Okay.
I'm gonna stunk on them. What else? Yeah, Julia.
It's not really related to like business casual, but one of my friends, mom's daughter, she got married and they had it in the courthouse and her husband wore a suit, but it was a Pac-Man suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can absolutely wear like printed suits, printed ties, right? It definitely depends on the workplace, but for sure, right? Or like a colored like dress shirt. I know a lot of y'all wear glasses. I love wearing different kinds of glasses. Nails. Yes, self-expression.
Monday, just wait for me.
Ooh. Cuticles on the back. All right. What else? Other forms of self-expression. Okay. Hairstyles. Yes, or like hair accessories, right? Like a headband, a cute little scrunchy moment, little hair clips. Hairstyles, 10,000%. Okay. I'm gonna pass it over to Jordan. Talk about self-expression in the internet.
All right. So now we're going to shift a little bit and think of another form of self-expression, which is your internet presence. And so there are, I think, a number of things that we should consider when we're thinking about internet presence. But first, I want to hear why you guys think internet presence is an important consideration during PD. Why do we think it's important to consider our internet presence? Anyone know why? Morgan.
Are presenting yourself well on the internet, because if you're associated with that company, that matters a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So yes, in this day and age, even if you do not have a lot of social media presence, you can still be easily found online. A lot of times we are out there, even sometimes unknowingly, if you're tagged in things or whatnot. And so it's very, very important to think and consider what is going out, and what employers will see and what kind of image you're cultivating. So let's see if I can get out of this. So we'll do, let me clip this so I can type and talk. Okay, so we're gonna type in myself, and we'll just start with my name. And when we do that, we don't really get a lot because there is a famous actor. So that saves me a little bit, right? So I kind of get a little lucky in that area, but for a lot of people, that's not the case. However, if I add Michigan to it, I pop right up. So very first thing, and then people can find out where I work. And from that profile, you can also see some of my education, and it would connect you then to be able to find out other info about me. And let's see what comes up. Nothing comes up for me in my home state, but that's something you can do. You can also look and see just in general Google if any articles, anything on, like if your Twitter comes up, so I can see, okay, my Twitter doesn't immediately pop up with that, even though I have it. But then if we go back, we go to, okay, here is my poverty solutions profile. And then we could easily pop over to LinkedIn. You could maybe see, this isn't my Instagram, but you could maybe open it and see the suggested ones and it might pull it up. So definitely think about that. Think about what names you have like attached to your profiles and stuff, and how that can be searched. So like for me personally, I like to keep a low presence. So I just have my first name on a lot of things. So that way I'm not like super findable, because Jordan is, you're gonna pull up a lot of people if you just search that. So it's very, very important to think about that. And I feel kind of like old saying that, because I feel like I've been hearing that since I was young, like, watch out what you do on the internet, because, there's like so many bad things that can happen, but it really is important. And some other things that you should think about. Let me return to the slideshow. So some best practices for like just maintaining good like internet presence and privacy is to set your settings to private, which I think a lot of us are familiar with. But when you put it to private, obviously then you're restricting who can see it. So anyone who's just randomly searching isn't going to be able to find and see. You are, really limiting who, so an employer or someone working at a company, a coworker, whatever, can't just like pull it up and like scroll through your life. So definitely consider that. Maintaining a professional presence by following, engaging with like professionally relevant materials. So LinkedIn, I think, is one that we hear about a lot, but you can do blogs, and there are a lot of other professional spaces, like academic online course spaces and things like that. But having a presence on these is really good because not only does it give you access, but it builds up kind of a history and a repertoire. So when employers look you up, they can see, oh, this pulls up, they've been on this for a while, and they have kind of a history, and they might have more, engagement with that than some of your other social media. And a lot of times they're going to go to some of those things initially anyways to check out like your like work experience and stuff. So the more you can keep that up, usually the better. Remove unsavory like tags. So I think, again, pretty self-explanatory. I mentioned this earlier, but if people tag you in a photo or a video or a post or something that might not reflect well on you to an employer, make sure you remove that. Most places you can just remove it automatically anymore, but just be cognizant of that. It can happen very easily and be overlooked. So I know that I've definitely gotten caught up in that before. Nothing bad, but just, seeing something that I was like, oh, that's a little embarrassing. I wish they hadn't posted that and tagged me, and removing it. And then to really sound ancient, remember that nothing can be removed. Once it's out there, unfortunately. So if something does get put up, even though you might take it down, there's a record of it, there's a history of it. So again, just be mindful, because those things can come up. Some other things to consider. Let's see, if anyone is considering applying for government jobs, some government departments can bypass basic security settings, even if your profile is set to private. So examples of this are the US Post Office, the US Food and Drug Administration, the National Institute of Health, and the US Forest Service. So even, if you do have some of that, be mindful that certain employers do have those rights based on different things, mostly, like we said, the government, based on different security clearances. But again, even if you don't think you're going to work for the government, just be mindful of that. And when you're applying for things, what that might look like. I know I Googled myself, but if you are like planning on applying for jobs, it's good maybe just a little bit ahead of time to do that search and make sure you have time to like remove anything, and kind of build up a good trail or presence, whatever you might need to do. And then the next thing we're going to have you do is just take a few minutes at your tables, and look at your own social media account. Just pick one. You can look at multiple. If you don't have one, you can feel free to look at someone else's if they don't mind, or like a friend or a family, and just kind of reflect, is there anything that you should reconsider having, or is there something that you are proud of on this account, that you've done? And take a minute or two to share out with your group as well. And then we'll come back together. Okay. Does anyone have anything that they are proud of that they would like to share about their social media account? Anything? No one? That's okay. I'll share one of mine then. So I am proud personally of my LinkedIn. I started that when I was in high school, which I won't share how long ago that was. It's been a hot minute now, but I have spent many years working on it and building like feed and a history of my work and connecting with people. And I think just personally, it's a great resource for myself and something I like to share and feel proud sharing with others. But the last thing that I just want to mention as well is that when you are thinking about these things, just remember that people are always posting things as well. So be mindful of how others are engaging on social media around you and who you're spending time with, and what that looks like and or what you post and how that reflects you. I think we all see the like videos online of people like exposing bad behaviors and things like that. But sometimes it also reflects poorly on the person who's taking the video, or other people in the scene. So just be mindful of who you're spending time with and things like that as well, and kind of what you're sharing out, even if it's not about yourself, but what you're sharing about others and people around you, whether you know them or not. So I think I won't share any like specific stories, but we all see them, I think, all the time. So with that, we are going to go into cohorts